Oh, yeah, it's me. Hello, bread fans. Welcome to my new podcast named Junkie Talks. I am your host, Jay Zamanek, otherwise known as Insane Coaster Junkie on YouTube. Hello, hello. This is big for me. I mean, my own podcast. I've always wanted to make one, but I did not know how in the hell to do it. So I figured out options. I saw what other people were doing, whether if it was people at school or people I went to high school with, whatever it was. And I said, hey, let's go make that podcast right about now. So here we are. So today is the first episode of Junkie Talks, and it's probably going to be an unscripted thing. So I apologize for the inconvenience on that. Plus, I'm not using my default microphone because I accidentally left that at home. So I'm using my computer default microphone. So I apologize if the quality isn't the best. Let's just say, cleaners. So what are you going to expect on this show? So this is basically a podcast about anything roller coaster related, just me rambling about topics and things around the community, my personal stories, that other matters. So if you don't like uncensored rambling, well, this is not your podcast. So I'm just warning you now because there is a lot of salt that will be spilled in it. Those who know my Insane Coaster Junkie channel will know that I spilled a lot of salt. So a little info about me. I am almost 23 years old. I am a huge roller coaster enthusiast. Like I said, I have my channel, Insane Coaster Junkie. My home park is Waldameer in Erie, PA, which is a fantastic amusement park with Ravine Flyer 2, one of the best wooden coasters out there. I have ridden 88 roller coasters across the United States and Canada. Big deal. And I am on the autism spectrum. Yes, I have high-functioning autism, but I like to share that autism as a form of movement, so you might see a little bit of a few autism-related stories on this podcast. Whatever goes through my mind is going to be on this podcast. So without further ado, we're going to have to get started with something. Oh, yes. The sound of half pace means the sound of summer. You know what that means? I'm missing summer big time. So I'm going to basically recap the 2022 season in podcast form because, yeah, there's a lot to go in for this one. So I'm going to pretty much start at the beginning of my 2022 season just to give you an example of what I'm about and what you could expect and what I can talk about in future episodes. So my season started pretty early in January of 2022, right before my 22nd birthday. And this is where I went to my home indoor water park, Splash Lagoon. This was the first time I'd been there since the pandemic. And when I went in the pandemic, it was fucking terrible. Let me just tell you, it was terrible. COVID protocols were up my ass, and it was just not fun at all. And coming back here, I was afraid I was going to have a similar, very bad experience. But it turned out to be a very good experience and a rather strong visit to my local indoor water park. Besides the asshole that tried to argue with me in line, which, by the way, Splash Lagoon needs to fix their lines there, which I'll probably go into a separate episode about Splash Lagoon. But other than that, I thought it was a fun time. I hung out with a couple of my Pittsburgh friends, and we had a good time having that fun. And then new for 2022 that I'm going to be talking about at some point, tourism. Now, I am a huge sucker for tourism outside of roller coasters and amusement parks, which is a big deal for me, and I'm very happy about it. So I was able to visit some very familiar locations around the area. So like Sarah's Diner, you get there for the first weekend of the season, shop at the mall, bring back Jay's Place, whatever the heck it may be. And then after that, I decided to do a full-scale model with the Erie Zoo. Now, this was my Outback adventure, I called it. Basically just rambling around the zoo right before Easter. I had a good time. And, yeah, it was really cool to see the zoo for the first time in over 5-7 years. I don't know how long it's been. What the hell happened? Why didn't I go to the zoo earlier? And that was just a cool, fun time. So after that, I really just took a break, and then I jumped right back in with the Waldameer season. So season pass photo day, opening day. This is a 1-2 punch that is known on this channel. Those who follow me, it is a huge deal for me to do that. And season pass photo day was what you expected. It was a cold, brisk May day. I mean, yeah, you can't do that without freezing. But it was cool to ride some of your favorite rides, such as Scrambler, Merry-Go-Round, and Dodgems, which new for 2022, Scrambler had a no single rider rule, which was per manufacturer restriction update, which I was not a fan of. But I understand why. I mean, I'm hoping for seatbelts in 2023, but that's a different discussion. And then after that, I had opening weekend, which was a huge deal. Had a bunch of my fans out there. Let's see, we had Alex, Emma. Elevators are amazing. All sorts of people. I have way too many out there. And it was a mix of sun, rain. So basically the good, the bad, and the ugly happened in one day, which was pretty damn cool. I have to say the least. Opening day is one of my favorite Waldameer traditions of all time. I've been doing that since 2016, and I'm going to keep going with that tradition. It's one of my big time favorites. And then after that, we kind of fast forward about 2 weeks to Memorial Day weekend, which Memorial Day weekend is a bit of a hit or miss. After the fights that happened at Waldameer last year, I was kind of concerned going in how it would be. And it was actually handled very well, very maturely. And I was pretty happy to see the respect that happened. Now, was everything perfect? No. But it was a sign of progress, which I also got to tour the 3/4 scale of the Vietnam Wall that came to Erie that weekend too. So it was a matter of perfect timing. Go to Waldameer, but also respect my country that I live in and talk about some of the history. Had some interviews. It was a really unique opportunity to do, and I'm happy about it. Just sat around with some of my family members, interviewed them, and did some cool footage, the 21 gun salute. Awesome. So after that, we move on to the next couple set of vlogs. We're in June now, and June is where I get some of my major salt done. First off, I had a vlog where I controlled the day, so fans had to submit things of things what I would do, and this was a fucking terrible idea. I mean, what I did that I was like, all right, are people actually going to respond to this? Yes, the hell they did, and they responded fast. Man, I was going in unpredictable situations, riding Spider blindfolded, riding RF2 blindfolded because of the Super Bowl 56 punishment. I mean, fuck you, Cincinnati Bengals. I am a Browns fan. So there was a multitude of challenges in basically just push my inner limits a little bit, which was a rather unique vlog to say the least. I'm still mad over the punishments, but it's okay. I am sarcastic about that. I am that kind of person. You will notice that throughout the podcast. I am a very sarcastic person. I try to make it not offensive, but if I accidentally do, I apologize. But yeah, I went full out Yinzer mode at this point. And then the following week was what I call a polishing day, which is basically a vlog where I get the remaining POVs that I have not filmed this season. And usually I do about 5 to 7 POVs per vlog, just to make things even. And I have a good multitude of music selections and montage ideas and transitions and audio and video and all this wish-washing wiper stuff. And then we get into one of my biggest projects of the year. Now, in 2022, I ended up joining ACE, which is the American Coaster Enthusiasts. It's a national roller coaster club. And I got to go to my very first ACE event with Ravine Flyer Frenzy. And this was one of the coolest opportunities I got to have as an enthusiast, and basically dive into the inner machinations of Waldameer, of how ACE is treated and then what kind of events are offered. I mean, we had 3 hours of ERT or exclusive ride time, and we had a huge dinner, which had the infamous Hammicken sandwich, as known by the Waldameer locale. Do not try it. It is a terrible shit show concoction. And also at the same time, just overall salt. Why do I mean by that? Well, it's hard to explain in form. Maybe another story will help. But I'll just say it was one of the best Waldameer visits I ever had as a guest. And it was splendid. I have to give a huge thank you to Ace for hosting this event. It was actually a precursor to Precon, or I mean CoasterCon in that matter. And CoasterCon was at Kennywood and Cedar Point this year. I couldn't really do it because of my job, but who knows? So after that, I kind of took a break, And then I got into July, which July is probably going to be my most busiest month in any given year. But this July was probably the busiest I've ever done. Almost every week, I was doing something or somewhere in that regard. So first, I had an Independence Day celebration, a little bit of a smaller one, but also respect our country too. So I had some fun filming that vlog. We had a infamous rainstorm, which has been mean to death, which I am very appreciative of. But rainstorms at Waldameer are one of the more unique quirks, and it's very hard to describe what rainstorms feel like. It almost feels like euphoria. But it's really fun to just mess around it like a kid again and just splash in puddles or Marathon RF2 in the rain, whatever you may call it. And then after that, Midway State Park. Now, this is an outlier park. This is a little bit west of Jamestown, New York. It's about 45 minutes from Erie, and it's technically closer to me than the trash heap known as Conneaut Lake Park. And Midway, I was glad to get back to it for the first time since 2018. One of my favorite independent parks. It is just a nice, chill atmosphere. It's what Conneaut should be, a nice, relaxing family park with some unique quirks. It's also a combined state park, so you can just walk around, do whatever you want. You can have a picnic. You can chill by the water. I mean, it's free admission and free parking, so you don't have to worry about anything. And then the ride wristbands are rather cheap. I remember paying about $15, but I was able to try everything else that I did in 2018, plus the rest of it, which I had a full-on experience on. And I just got to say, Midway, I am definitely going to have to return back there in 2023. It was very cool. But after that, this is where it gets even crazier. And with more of that half pace, more parks. And here's where it gets even more real. So I took a week off after that, and then it was a multitude of 4-week stretches of Wednesdays. Now, Waldameer was closed on Wednesdays during the season, so it gave me a nice opportunity to go elsewhere when the R Park was closed. So following that, I went to Kennywood, which was my first time there since 2019. I went with a couple friends of mine from the local area and met up with some of my Pittsburgh friends. And Kennywood is one of those really underrated parks. I had a really good time there. My first visit in 2019 was not the best because of the way I was treated and how the visit was handled, excuse me. But this time was a more proper treatment of how Kennywood should be in this ICJ multiverse. And my God, this park is amazing. Just the 1-2 punch of Phantom's Revenge and Steel Curtain are the best of the best. You got 2 hypercoasters of different specs, and it's there. I mean, I especially recommend Phantom's Revenge, that amazing Morgan hypercoaster. Steel Curtain, if you want the inversions, go for it. Most inversions in North America with 9. It's a huge deal. I love that park. And I was fortunate enough to actually go a second time, again, the following week. Now, this was more of a solo trip because the first time I was actually with some people. They provided me transportation and whatnot. So I decided to take a solo trip out of nowhere. And holy shit, this solo trip was one of the most extreme experiences of my life. Just driving in Pittsburgh for the first time, it just felt like euphoria to me. But before I could say go to Kennywood and embrace the Yinzer, you got to go to a little small FEC or Family Entertainment Center known as Fun for All. Now, this is a little thing in Cranberry Township that I've heard of before since the pandemic, but didn't really have a chance to go. They have one little Zamperla kiddie coaster called Fiesta Express. And you might think, Jay, why the hell would you drive all the way down there just for a kiddie coaster? Well, because I want my credits, damn it. I want my credits. And I was able to get some footage of that too. And it's a nice little park. Explored my tourism arc a little bit more. And then after that, I went to Kennywood. Spent a good 5-6 hours there, and it was awesome, as always. There wasn't much of a crowd this time because the last time I went in the previous week, I had some extreme heat. This time it was just all cloudy and there was barely anybody. I got some massive marathons on Phantom's Revenge and Thunderbolt. And I had a good time. Just driving home from that was awesome. Nothing like going on I-79 blasting Run the Jewels. Run the Jewels fast. And then the next week, After that, now we're getting into August. August is where it also picks up too with some more things. Son of a... I forgot Darien Lake. I'm running through my calendar, and I forgot about Six Flags Darien Lake. Man, why, of all parks I forget, is Darien Lake? And I'm actually going to connect this with another arc, Concerts and Coasters. So Concerts and Coasters was usually my annual summer tradition where I go to the park during the day, watch a heavy metal concert at night. And this year kind of got screwed over, but there was kind of a silver lining to it. Yes, a concert would happen, but not at Darien Lake. How about Highmark Stadium for my favorite band, Metallica? Yes, to see Metallica, but we need a park to pair with that. What about Six Flags Darien Lake? No. I did that back in July, right before the Kennywood arc happened. And Six Flags Darien Lake has been a park that most people kind of talk shit about. In reality, it's actually one of my favorite parks. It's a severely underrated park. I went there on the deadest of days. It was raining the entire day, no lines, got to ride everything in that park, catch up things from all eras of my channel. So stuff from 2015 I haven't been able to ride, and 2017, 2019, whatever it may be. I was able to catch up on that. But this year, I decided to take things back home and do Waldameer since, for convenience sake. So Concerts and Coasters was a little bit changed this year because it's not in the usual Six Flags manner. So I decided to Six Flags Defy Waldameer, which got really confusing. I mean, even confused some of my friends at the park. They were like, what? This is Ravine Flyer 2. No, this is Ride of Steel. Whatever. It's my channel. It's my rules. It's my vlog. But before that, we had Splash Lagoon. I went there again because they added a new Tiki Treehouse. Now, I was going to do this the week before, so basically I was going to do this during the Kennywood arc, but that did not happen because it was closed. I did not find out it reopened the same day when I was in line for Racer, and it pissed me off. Let me just tell you, just going up there and just seeing, scrolling on Instagram, that just ruined my vibe. I'm like, I could have stayed home today, but no, I'm at Kennywood, but it's okay. It was worth it in the end, trust me. I got back to it, covered the new Tiki Treehouse, which was cool. And then after all that whole thing, we had the Erie County Fair in Hamburg, New York. Now, there's all sorts of Erie counties. Erie County, PA, where I'm from, and then there's Erie County, New York, and Erie County, Ohio. Both have their own thing. So Erie County, New York, it's home to the third largest county fair in the country. It was one of the best things ever. And just getting back to it was cool. I mean, they had a new coaster credit, which was a Reverchon Spinning Wild Mouse, which, I mean, of all things, to bring a coaster there, I don't know. I cannot think today, but weird coaster, worse than Exterminator. But after that, I kind of went back to college, did band camp, then come back here for a couple weeks. And in spite of that, I had two of my largest events in history. I had another Coaster Club event, which was with the Western New York Coaster Club and Ace, which was known as Flying High with Ravine Flyer 2. Now, this used to be a Flying High with a Blue Streak type event, which would include Waldameer and Conneaut, but with the demise of Conneaut, Waldameer has become its own thing, which I'm kind of grateful for at the same time. But just doing that another coaster event was awesome. More ERT, more behind-the-scenes tours, more embracing Salt. And this was one of my more unique visits because I got to finally find out what was under Steel Dragon Station. And trust me, you do not want to know. And then after that, going into September, I had my biggest meetup of the year, which was Last Riff 2. For those who are unfamiliar, Last Riff is now my closing of the season annual celebration. It's kind of like opening day, but in reverse. But Last Riff 2 gets more of the attention because it's the big thing. And this was my first official ICJ meetup as a YouTuber, and this was one of the best memories I ever had. Just meeting up with over 10 people. We had a huge meetup. We did a lot of events. We rode a lot of rides. We had a dinner, which I had some secret announcements to do. We did an extreme hide and seek. We took over an entire train on Ravine Flyer 2 for the last ride of the night, which was awesome. I mean, I got to give a shout out to my Walda crew for that. And then that was it. That was the season. but there are 2 additional arcs that I have to go through that kind of just put everything full circle. So about 3 weeks later, I go to the trash heap known as Conneaut Lake Park. And now I'll have a full episode of this one. Don't worry. I'm not gonna be swearing here for that. But I'm just gonna say it is a real shame what Todd Joseph did to that amusement park. Because back then it was one of my favorite amusement parks to go, just the Marathon Blue Streak and just have an overall fun time at a classic park. That's not the case anymore. And when I went for their Halloween event, it was disappointing. I mean, what was once one of my favorite parks now is just a shadow of itself. It's terrible. You look at the park now, no Blue Streak, no water park, no Games Midway, no nothing. It's basically Conneaut Lake Park got grounded for life because it got a bad grade. But instead, it was because of potential arson. But I'm not going to speak on this episode because I'm going to be in a bad mood after that. We'll save the salt for later. And then after that, I decided to do another arc and explore more tourism, but also Waldameer. Waldameer has this thing called the Pumpkin Walk, which is a little small-scale Halloween event, which I've never done yet. They've done it since 2019, but brought it back last year after the pandemic. And so I combined that with Peak and Peak, which I wanted to try their zip lining and ropes course. Basically some extreme adventures I have not done since 2017. And it was great to get back in there, do all that. And then the Pumpkin Walk was awesome. I got to see some of my favorite people that I was with all summer. And it was just a good way to close out the 2022 season on Insane Coaster Junkie. There's nothing really much I got to say about that. So that's a little bit of a taste for me of what I'm about. And that season recap, I apologize if it was a little boring. I just wanted to recap the season. Plus, for new viewers, this is kind of a way, how did you get to know me? Is through my past experience. Because when we do future episodes, we're going to be exploring specific things. Maybe we'll have one on Waldameer, maybe Conneaut Lake Park, maybe Darien Lake, or something with autism, whatever the case might be. And if you have any suggestions, you can always put this on YouTube. I'm going to be posting a link on this on my YouTube channel pretty soon. And this is where you guys will come in. So I'll definitely be promoting this on all my socials. So YouTube, Instagram, all that. So you can find Junkie Talks. And I don't know when I'm going to be doing the next episode. I'm going to be pretty much doing this periodically, maybe once a week during my winter break, which starts pretty soon here because I get a grind for finals. I wanted to do something now as like an introductory episode. But this is kind of your taste of Junkie Talks. So without further ado, that's all I have for you today on this episode of my new podcast. So I will be definitely promoting this. Look out for more on all my socials. So this is Jay Zemanek of Insane Coaster Junkie signing out for our new show today. And I hope you have a good one. So we'll see you all in the parks real soon.